what really happened was a simple confrontation that ended peacefully back in April of 2014 between a group of Americans who care about land rights, who care about property rights, who understand who owns what property and who cannot or does not own property, such as the federal government claiming that it owns between 85 and 90% of all the land in Nevada.
The Pentagon war planners have rightfully said that 90% of modern warfare is informational. That's why it's more important than ever that all of you watching subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at Real Alex Jones, because InfoWars is the front line of the fight. And without your help and support, we will fail. With your support and with your prayers, we will be victorious against the globalists together. They know they've got a base that will believe anything they're told. They'll believe that we're really going to kill old people if we get rid of Obamacare, even though Pocahontas and Ezekiel Emanuel admit it's designed to wreck the old health care that was the best in the world and bring in single payer. I mean, it's so diabolical.
And it slops over from the media world, which is bad enough because that's the basis on which a lot of people make decisions and colors their view of government and the electoral process. But, and we see this happening in Nevada right now with the Clive and Bundy cases.
Oh, in fact, you've been on that. Let's talk about that. You've been really spearheading, exposing that. Why do you think this is so dangerous? And kind of just spend a minute or two recapping for folks what really happened.
What really happened was a simple confrontation that ended peacefully back in April of 2014 between a group of Americans who care about land rights, who care about property rights, who understand who owns what property and who cannot or does not own property, such as the federal government claiming that it owns between 85 and 90% of all the land in Nevada. So you had a dispute that had been, in fact, brewing for quite a period of time between Mr. Bundy, who is a rancher, in several generations.
Kicking people off set known grazing rights.
Yes, and so the government comes in and wants to not only force him to pay all of this money that the government claims is owed them because some of his cattle might have eaten a few plants on property that the government claims is theirs. But they went beyond that, and they were and did engage in actions to actually take some of his cattle and start killing them. And in response to that, the Bundys were able to have a lot of folks from not just Nevada, but other states, people who understand what's going on out there in Nevada with the Bureau of Land Management. They came out there in support of the Bundys, and it ended several days later in April of 2014. No shots were fired. But I think the problem, Alex, they then gave rise to the indictments that the government issued in early 2016 against not only the Bundys, but I think there were 19 defendants that the government brought indictments.
And then now we've got FBI agents getting indicted for shooting people in cold blood. It's just escalating.
It is. I mean, I'm sure you remember, as a lot of your listeners probably do, the way they went after Senator Ted Stevens up in Alaska, falsifying information, improper relations between FBI agents and certain witnesses. This is the deep state with a vengeance, what they're doing to the Bundys, what they tried to do to Senator Ted Stevens.
And so this is where the rubber meets the road. You've got areas like Nevada where they say 90% of the land is government. Other areas out west, on average, is like 60%. And a lot of these feds, this is really where there is corruption, become their own little boss hogs and start making side business deals. And now it didn't matter if you've been grazing on this land since before it was even a territory, 1877. Doesn't matter. The public doesn't understand law, doesn't understand grazing rights, doesn't understand surface rights. We're just saying, get your cattle off of here. And then, you know, having feds start shooting little kids off the bikes and just really arrogant, because the feds are trying to hire arrogant social justice warriors to be BLM. So there's a little bit of pushback. So then they shoot, you know, an innocent guy who's unarmed getting out of his truck, and now it escalates. And so we're now to this point.
And if it is allowed to continue, and hopefully at some point, President Trump, who spoke about these issues, including specifically the problems between BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and private citizens, landowners, ranchers, and so forth. Mr. Trump spoke about this during the campaign back in 2016. Hopefully, we will see some of those ideas that Mr. Trump had and spoke about during the campaign in support of property rights and against the government. I
was about to say, defund a lot of the BLM, put in new directors in the imperious attitude and bent, but also, you know, they go, oh, don't give away the national parks. Forget the national parks. That's a small part. We need to start privatizing these areas and, you know, doing it judiciously. But that's where our boom economy comes from, is actually going in all over this country and freeing up the land. I mean, the feds, as you know, in Texas have declared tens of thousands of square miles in Oklahoma and Texas on the Red River. We're talking totally owned ranches with no federal connections, and the feds show up and declare 2-3 miles on both sides of the Red River and just start taking at gunpoint people's property. I mean, it's out of control. And have you seen any signs as a real activist, former Congressman Bob Barr, of Trump being able to slow this? Because we know the bureaucracy has been an open mutiny against him.
I certainly hope that we see some real movement on this pretty quickly. I know some of his early executive orders and other documents that President Trump signed in the first couple of months of his being sworn in as president, they did move us in the direction of reducing the regulatory burdens on the citizens and businesses of this country. But it's now at the point where we need to see some real action. Whether it's
what do you recommend as a former prosecutor, U.S. attorney, businessman? What do you recommend?
Well, in the case that is brewing, that is going on right now in Nevada, the government should do what it never likes to do, and that is to admit a mistake and dismiss the indictments. The government doesn't like to do that. I think one of the main problems, Alex, with regard to the Bundy case out in Nevada, is the fact that the government basically was forced to back down in the face of the citizens standing up to the government.
And they were in the wrong. I mean, these were law-abiding citizens pushed too far.
They were American citizens who had every right to be there. Some of them were exercising their Second Amendment rights, and now I think to a large extent simply because the government was embarrassed that it did have to back down, they turn around months later and issue indictments against 19 individuals, and not only that, Alex, but they refused to discuss bond. The judge, went along with that. So, you have Mr. Bundy and his sons and all these other folks
locked up like they're in North Korea. I know you've got to go, and I've got an exclusive piece on Megyn Kelly's deception. But if you can, I'd like you to come back for 5 minutes, put a bow on this. Former Congressman Bob Barr, Liberty Guard, because I want to briefly get into laptop bombs, TSA, something you're an expert on with Liberty Guard, and then briefly your advice to President Trump. So I know some of what we talk about gets to him. Occasionally he calls, but the point is he does listen. Some of his people listen. What you would do as somebody that's really been there to advise the president to weather this whole fake Russiagate storm. We'll be back with Congressman Bob Barr, former Congressman. I'm Alex Jones.
My friends, we have done it. With Dr. Group's help, we have developed ultimate male vitality supplement with 8 concentrated super herbs. This is the answer to the globalist war on male vitality with the estrogen mimickers they've added to the food and the water supply. And now our test pilot, our Chuck Yeager, Dr. Edward Group, is here to test his greatest invention. Doctor?
Thank you, Alex. I will now take 2 droppers to test this ultimate male vitality formula.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a momentous moment. Thank you, Dr. Group.
I will activate my muscles by doing push-ups.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the move. This is unprecedented. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see what happens right now. Oh my God! What the hell? Wait. Get out of here. Shut this down. This is not safe. This is not, hold on. Settle down. Get another doctor. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with him. Help him. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not intend for that to happen. I take it personally. Do not have those problems. Again, these are authorized herbs, well known to be safe. Please, doctor, wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to cut to commercial for just a moment. Cut. Get everybody out of
here. Super male vitality. It's awesome. Just not this awesome.
Oh my God! What the hell? Ladies and gentlemen, the dramatization you've just seen is just that. It is satire to illustrate in a satirical way the incredible power of super male vitality. It will not turn you into Conan the Barbarian, but it will help block some of the estrogen mimickers and reportedly let your glands produce the natural hormones your body needs. It also does have some other side effects in the human testing that we discovered, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to illustrate right now what that is. Let's see if I can do it again. It takes some focus. Up, and away!
Start your journey to super male vitality today at InfoWarsLife.com.